Power is not loud. It is not in how much you speak, but in how much you withhold. In a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, silence becomes a weapon. Consider the battlefield. The king who yells commands is heard, but the king who stands still and whose army moves without a word is feared. The roar draws attention, but silence commands obedience. There is fury, yes, but that fury is contained. A fire that burns inward, builds pressure. Unleashed, it obliterates. We speak because we feel anxious. We explain, justify, argue, trying to prove our position, our worth. But the more we speak, the more power we surrender. Clarity becomes diluted. Intent becomes vulnerable. Words are like smoke. You think you're shaping them, but they drift, dissipate, and betray you. Say too much, and you reveal your plan. Say less, and they reveal theirs.
Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the greatest military minds in history, understood this principle deeply. During negotiations, he was often the last to speak, watching. He would sit silently, letting others project their fears, assumptions, and ambitions. By saying little, he controlled the tempo. At the Treaty of Tilsit, when meeting with Tsar Alexander I, Napoleon used strategic pauses and minimal language to dominate the room. The Tsar, eager to please and unnerved by Napoleon's restraint, conceded ground without resistance. Napoleon once said, "The strong man is the one who is able to intercept at will the communication between the senses and the mind." He knew that restraint wasn't just discipline, it was strategy. Think of the politician who tries too hard to explain or the executive who overshares in meetings. Their perceived power weakens. They are trying to be liked. Power does not seek approval. And once the illusion cracks, once your mask slips from careless talk, it can never be put back together. The mirror is broken. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. The wise learn from nature. A stream flows with purpose, not volume. Its path is not carved by declaration, but by patience and consistency. The samurai kneels not to surrender, but to channel strength inward. Stillness is not weakness, it is mastery held in reserve. One drop, just one, in complete silence, it sounds like thunder. That is the power of restraint. How often have I spoken just to fill the air, to seem smart, to defend myself? And what did it buy me truly? Regret, exposure, weakness. Restraint is not silence for the sake of mystery. It is silence for the sake of impact. The lantern burns with little fuel, yet it outlasts the blaze. In the game of power, the move you don't make speaks louder than the one you do. It creates tension, suspense, and fear. Say nothing, and watch how the room bends around you. When others scramble to be heard, the one who doesn't speak becomes the center of gravity. Sun Tzu. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Andy Grove, CEO of Intel, ruled with precision. In meetings, he spoke rarely, listening, watching. He let others build confidence in their plans. Then, he'd cut through the noise with a single question. One sentence from Grove could unravel an entire presentation. At one meeting, a team pitched a complex expansion strategy. Grove asked, "What happens if your competitor cuts prices by 30% tomorrow?" The room fell silent. The plan disintegrated. Grove didn't dominate with volume. He ruled with economy. The hand almost draws the sword, but doesn't. That restraint says everything. Mercy, patience, or hidden fury they will never know. And that is why it haunts them. Queen Elizabeth wielded silence like a blade. Parliament pushed her to marry, to name a successor, to declare war. But she answered only when it served her. When urged to wed, she gave poetic speeches, vague, clever, non-committal. But more often, she said nothing. Silence gave her leverage. They could never corner her, not in words, not in action. It preserved her throne. It delayed her enemies, and it left everyone guessing.
In negotiation, let them fill the silence. In leadership, speak with brevity, but with weight. In conflict, hold your tongue and watch theirs stumble. The throne doesn't shout. It waits. It judges. It is the symbol of finality. Not because it moves, but because it doesn't need to. The last word is not always spoken. Sometimes it is felt, like a coin landing with weight. And in the end, there stands the silent one, mouth sealed, message spoken, law written, without ever being read aloud. This is the law of power. This is law 4. If this law struck a chord, if silence now sounds louder than ever before, then walk further into the Codex. Subscribe, because here, every word is chosen, every truth earned. And remember, power does not ask to be followed. It simply is.